All right, guys, we are live. And Oklahoma, welcome to the SEC. SEC releases 2024 football schedules earlier this evening. We're going to talk about that. I think LSU fared pretty good. Oklahoma, not so much. I don't know what each school is going to complain about. But Vanderbilt's got a tough one as well. We're going to discuss that. LSU baseball took off for Omaha earlier today. Football recruiting. Multiple commitments this week, a big official visit weekend coming up. We talked to Gilbreth, the tight end. Preston with a big story on that this morning. LSU's in great shape before he comes to town. And that and a lot more on the Pride Roofing TigerBait live show. And, of course, I'm here with Buddy Songy, Baton Rouge sports talk legend, on board with me tonight. What's up, buddy?
Well, I'm just a regular guy out there. Hope everyone is doing well. You know, it is so nice, Mike, in our business when A, we get a little time off, but B, we get some extension to talk to LSU baseball going to Omaha. Been 6 years since the Tigers have been to Omaha, 2017. Had the weather not changed and Eric Walker not gotten hurt, Paul Maneri might have 2 rings and LSU might have 7. But the reality of it is that 6 and Jay Johnson in year 2 making it to Omaha. Kim Mulkey year 2 won a national championship. Brian Kelly in year 2, great expectations. Great time to be a Tiger fan, and we have a ton of stuff to talk about. And look, I am still processing this 2024 schedule. Now, we already know that LSU had 2 monster non-conference games scheduled. Are you and I still taking the girls to Vegas for USC? You hesitated.
So. No, I'm not missing that one.
All right, and then they played UCLA in the return game. Of course, as we know in 2020, that was an ill-fated opening start to that season. And lo and behold, so we're talking about all of the games that just got released a little after 6. And there's a lot of things to like. And you and I were talking before the show. I really think the SEC did a great job in trying to make it equitable and pretty fair across the board. Georgia at Alabama, that's going to be a doozy. LSU continues to play Bama. Of course, the one constant is going to be A&M for 2024.
I thought
we'll get into the details.
I thought between Texas and Oklahoma, I knew LSU would get one of them. I thought maybe it might be Texas to make up for that lost 2020 game due to COVID. But they get Oklahoma and Baton Rouge. And am I right that that's never been happened before? Oklahoma's never.
I don't
believe they've ever played in the regular season.
I don't think they have ever played. I know they played Oklahoma, I think, in the Sugar Bowl many, many years ago. I think they did.
That was 2003, and then
no, I'm talking about way back. I'm talking about way back.
But I don't think they've ever had a home and home.
No.
Okay,
they scheduled a home and home. Alabama, Ole Miss, and those beautiful Vanderbilt Commodores coming in on the road in 24 at Arkansas, at Florida, at South Carolina, at Texas A&M. I think that's a very doable schedule. You look at this year's schedule, you beat Florida State, these Tiger fans could be dancing for a couple of years.
Well, you know, McElroy said that he looked at the 24 schedule and he thought that maybe the LSU's path was the most manageable.
Yeah.
And I kind of looked at it and said, are you sure? But I think he might be right.
Well, you just never know. By the way, remember now, this is going to be when LSU's starting a guy that's never started a quarterback before, and we know how important quarterback is. Why LSU, Jaden Daniels, will be going to Nashville with the SEC Media Days, and they will come in preseason 6 or 7.
That's why you hope that this upcoming season, I've said it before, is not a carbon copy of last season, to where you want Daniels to be as durable as he was last year, but you want Nussmeier to get more time so that way he's more seasoned heading into 24 where he's the guy.
Absolutely.
Not just coming in the fourth quarter when you have 3 scores and maybe gets the last 6 minutes of a game.
No doubt about it.
And I don't think you're worrying about getting a 3 in this year, Ricky Collins, but maybe you do.
Well, in 24, you'll have Colin Hurley also on the team.
Right.
So, by the way, the big tight end that we've been kind of intimating and talking about for the last month, I can't get a legitimate height and weight on him, but he's coming in here, and you're going to see him on short yardage and third down. And then the word we get from him and the LSU coaches, let him grow into an offensive tackle.
Yeah, well, he's 6'6", 270.
Okay, that's what the latest is? Okay.
Yeah, so
That'll be your blocking and your third down tight end when LSU plays Smash Mouth.
all right, guys, if you're enjoying the show, hit the like button. I already have a big group in here to talk about it. Let me know if how the feed's looking. I keep getting a little the meter's showing me that it's running high and then low. It's second week in a row it's done that. Come on, Cox, fix me up. All right, guys, let's roll in here to get to some of these. Barry Barbe, congrats to Buddy on becoming LSU's rugby play-by-play man.
Oh, thank you.
Andy Fizzbuzz Whitaker, I don't think they could have made the 2024 schedules any better. Yeah, I mean, like Buddy was saying, and he and I were talking about it before the show, we all wanted 9 games and didn't like the 8 game, but when you look at the 8 game and then adding 2 more teams, I think they did a darn good job. You lose Auburn, lose Mississippi State. I don't think anybody gives a damn about losing Mississippi State unless you're an LSU fan in that area of the state of Mississippi. And you'll end up getting them the next year. So Auburn is one that you kind of don't want to lose, but man, you've got so much on that schedule to feast on as a season ticket holder. There's really nothing to complain about. Chance Babin, 2024 SEC schedule looks manageable, but tough schedule overall. Absolutely.
Well, you're in the SEC, Chance, as you well know. And this is the interesting thing as I pose this question to you. In year 2024, the first year that LSU and the SEC will welcome OU and Texas, who's going to have the best team in 24, Texas or OU?
Now, what was that again?
Who is going to be the best team entering
Texas.
into the league in 24, Texas or OU?
Texas.
And LSU gets
think OU 's gonna
LSU gets OU in Baton Rouge. I think it's very manageable. I'm with you. I think Texas, if they can get the quarterback, and it won't be Arch Manning probably, Ewers is the guy that's going to lead them places.
I wonder if Oklahoma can get to 7 wins.
I hadn't looked at it that close, but
Man.
I know this. You got to love the Boomer Sooner coming to Baton Rouge.
LSU 90, good evening. So much happening this week. Excited to hear your thoughts on the 24 schedule. Absolutely. We've been hitting it hard already. Bart Smokey, a good friend of the show at Smokey Investment Team. Did they mention who our permanent opponent would be?
Yeah, Texas A&M.
Yeah.
By the way, want to give a shout out to Bart. I caught up with one of my old buddies, and he worked with Bart in the banking business many years ago. And Bob Nelson could say nothing but great things about Bart Smokey. So, folks, when he sponsors these practice reports, we are fortunate to have great sponsors that are good people and they care about you. And that's the whole thing about them sponsoring this show and getting feedback from you.
Absolutely. Smokey Investment Team right there in Alexandria. You want to deal with those guys big time. If you got any investment or anything you want to do with a SEP, IRAs, the works, financial advice, they're the best in the business in central Louisiana. Holden Lee, compared to other schools, LSU has it easier for sure. I'd like to talk. I want to I didn't have any time, but I'd like to reach out to our Auburn, a couple of Auburn guys I know, to see what their thoughts are on their schedule and losing LSU. I haven't seen any comments on social media before we went live of any LSU fans upset about losing Auburn in the first year. But Texas looks like they probably have to be happy.
Yeah.
A&M's got to be happy because they get Texas at home year one, and that sets up the game. I mean, there's so many marquee games to look at that year, and that's kind of stuff that makes you money. That's kind of stuff that makes ESPN happy.
And I'll tell you this, Mike, the way this thing looks on paper right now, everybody is just sinking their teeth into it, but it makes you realize that, man, 8 works out perfectly. When you have 9, you've got some teams with 5 road games and only 4 home games. You know, like you alluded to, there are other games that you're trying to get involved in here. This will be for 2024, and they'll probably scramble it up after that for 25. No divisions, and so the fact that LSU's got USC and Vegas September 1 of 24, and then UCLA later on, look, it's the next 2 years.
And they kept in place who you were going to be playing home or away that was staying on your schedule from this year.
That's right.
They kept the order right. So
LSU will host Alabama, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and Vandy in 2024.
You know, I wish they would have had Sankey on or somebody in the SEC office to do like you do on an NCAA basketball tournament show, where they would have had to brought the guy in, like, what was your toughest decision? You know, what was the debate on this? I wish they would have had somebody from the SEC office. What was their toughest thing that they had to negotiate in putting all this together? So I think after the dust settles overnight, we'll start to get an idea of which fan bases are irate, which ones are happy, and which ones aren't. Certainly, Oklahoma, I imagine their message board's melting down a bit because they're getting, like I said at the beginning of the show, welcome to the SEC. All right, let me scroll down. Chance Babin, LSU lost to Oklahoma 35-0 in the 49 Sugar Bowl. Overall, 2-1 against the Sooners.
That's the one that I remembered way back. By the way, you know who's
49, you remember that one?
No, I remembered. I obviously I wasn't around, but I'm just saying that I remembered they had played before. And look, man.
But never home and home.
But that national championship in New Orleans with Marcus Spears and the pick six and winning 21-14, beating the Heisman Trophy and Bob Stoops, that was so enjoyable because it was the first championship in 45 years.
You know, I say everybody, most people still have their DVR full from the 2019.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, how many times do you go in 2019 and go rewatch a game? I think I probably watched the Oklahoma game more than any of them because that was just a clinic. I mean,
that's a game when I wish I used to bet, okay? I hadn't bet in 15 to 20 years, but that one I would have loaded in on. And how fun was that with Jefferson and Burrow?
And then probably second, I mean, you probably think you watch Alabama or Clemson more, but the SEC championship game against Georgia. I mean, but man, there was so many in that season, but I think I've watched Oklahoma more than any of them, just because of that was just a beatdown. Chris Scott, Mike, PMAC getting a $100 million upgrade. Be interested to see how that gets done, if the governor will approve. I don't know how that earmarking thing works and how there was some, what does it actually mean? It's there so it can be budgeted, but it's not really there. But only Kim Mulkey could have done that, right?
Well,
I mean, seriously.
The governor and Coach Mulkey have a long relationship. They grew up in the same neck of the woods. I think John Bell Edwards is going to make that happen. That would be a horrific bad PR move if he didn't. But Kim Mulkey would arm wrestle him and say, winner gets whatever.
I wonder if
they deserve that.
I wonder if you could give Scott Woodward some truth serum publicly, because a lot of times when Mulkey would bring up the PMAC and something needing to be done, your first thought is that she was going rogue. But I really believe that she had full authority to say those things publicly from Woodward and Tate.
Well, you know the politics better than me.
Don't you think?
That's a possibility.
Because of just how much power she has and how everybody's been riveted by her and watching her and what she's done. And like I said, I remember when she got here and she started throwing her weight around, or her diminutive weight. And Will Wade was basically, I'm going to let her fly because he would reap the rewards. And now Matt McMahon will do the same. So, but
much needed, though.
I don't see that PMAC's going to get renovated. I just don't.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a newer facility.
Okay.
What do you think?
I don't want to waste time on it tonight. We got too much football stuff. But
Buddy talks about what he wants to talk about.
You love Kim Mulkey. You let her dominate this damn show.
No, we let the questioners drive the show.
E-Dub
the Four says, I think LSU got a good draw. Going back to 24. John Sibley Butter, no win is easy in the SEC. We just bypass Vanderbilt altogether just because they,
my goodness.
In the grand scheme, you don't think about it. But boy, what does their fan base think? On the one hand, if you're a season ticket holder, you can probably make some money if you sell your tickets to the fans of the other schools. But man, they've got Alabama, Tennessee, and Texas at home.
Yeah, I looked at this schedule, Mike. I was struggling to find one game that they could win. That's how tough it is.
Yeah.
They're not going to beat LSU in Tiger Stadium. I'm sorry.
Really thought we would get UT at home. like I said earlier, I thought
That's
it'd be
probably coming future schedule.
yeah. That'll be the following year. But I don't think you're going to get Oklahoma at home in 24 and then Texas at home the next year. I think that's where the screw.
That's
I think that's
true.
where the screw job's going to come.
Okay.
LSU's going to have to go back to Austin.
We'll see.
Watch.
But you were right. Mike said it on my show today, and I agreed with him. I hesitated because I thought Nick was going to twist the arms of the SEC, but LSU will play at Bama this year, and Alabama comes back in 2024. Of course, this is one of the reasons Nick didn't want the 9. He didn't want LSU, but ESPN's got to be telling the coach, hey, this is our blockbuster ratings game. There's no way we're going to let you not play. It's too big.
Well,
Money, ratings, the whole 9 yards.
and that's why they shelled out more money to cut CBS out.
Sure.
Because CBS would pick that game every year.
Yeah.
Except for one.
Right. It will probably be the nighttime game this year.
Palermo, Trapani, USC, and UCLA out of conference with 8-game schedule. Yeah, that's man. If you're a season ticket holder, you got to be happy.
Hey, real quick, at Vegas with USC September 1, hosting Nicholls September 7th, hosting UCLA September 21, and hosting South Alabama September 28th. Those are the 4 non-conference games. 1 neutral site, the other 3 at home.
John Silly Butter, the best quarterback at Texas now is Malika Murphy. Holden Lee. I think Auburn, OU, and Vandy have it the toughest. Let's look at Auburn real quick.
I know Vandy's in there as the toughest for what I saw.
Auburn at home has Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt. They go on the road to Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, and Missouri. That is pretty tough. Alabama and Georgia. Of course, these aren't in any order. The order's not set, but depending on how the order of those, that could be really tough.
By the way, if you just missed this late breaking news, if you are a Georgia football recruit, they are going to require you to take and pass driver's ed. 10 more freaking, no fatalities, but 10 more problems with these football players going crazy in their new cars that they've gotten through the years for being a Georgia Bulldog. And I'm just going to say it now, and I'm going to ride it all the way until I don't see them three-peating this year. I don't know what's going to happen, whether an injury or whatever, losing Monken to the pros, obviously losing Bennett. Stetson, for a walk-on, he was pretty damn special, Mike.
Right, yeah.
But they do have the cupcake regular. They got the cupcake regular season, but I see them getting beat in the playoffs.
As sick as I've been about their schedule and how ridiculous it is, I'm with you. I think they stumble.
Yeah. Probably in the postseason, but still, they will stumble.
Yeah.
Sorry, dogs.
Okay. Buddy, did you see freshman Blake Shelton from Alabama has entered the portal? Baseball. #baseball.
Look, somebody texted me today and said, they started talking about all the players that be gone, Mike, and Fadilla be hitting 500 and 486 and 480 and all this talk about him and Skeens and just an incredible amount of emotion and pressure released. And yet, lo and behold, man, I was going through all the players that played their last game at the box. It's 12-13, and we don't even know what Travinsky's going to do and some of the other guys. So what a great send-off. But he will replenish, reload, and LSU once again will be right there at the top of the transfer portal. And there will be pictures coming in. Maybe one from Nicholls, maybe one from Air Force, maybe one from Alabama. A lot of these guys have Louisiana ties. You may get them on the baseball end like you got some of the football ties.
I think, what is that span of weeks where that's all taking place? The baseball transfer portal. Basically it's through July, right?
Yeah.
That's going to be a span of time that's going to be, for baseball, that's going to be reminiscent of what Mulkey did with her transfer portal. I think that's what it's going to be like.
And how cool was that to Jay that used the TV interview the other day they were talking about the atmosphere in the crowd, and he says, I don't know any great transfer portal player out there that wouldn't want to play in front of these fans. So, by the way, one other tidbit. Kudos to you guys, you girls, you kids, you Coke sellers and program sellers, I don't have the patience to sit around and let Mother Nature dictate what I'm going to do for 7 hours and then not have an ending. That was frustrating the last couple of Saturdays with the freaking weather. And I understand the gravity of lightning, but still, it's hard to wait 2 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 9:07, and then it got delayed again in the second one. But it all worked out. But kudos to those fans to show up, because that was a pain in the butt.
Well, you know, we're watching Jacques out there doing the reports as people were walking out after the third delay, and they, you know, fans were, kind of looking like they were going home and they weren't coming back. But then when it went live at 9 o'clock, the place was packed and they were lathered up, and it was an incredible atmosphere, and it was like that all weekend for 2 games.
By the way, I got a buddy of mine that's got a new sports bar opening, Let It Fly Sports Bar, opening this weekend about a block and a half from the stadium. Check it out. Wearing your purple and gold, 10% discount on drink specials. And I have told him 3 times every day, Mike. You know what the word is, huh? Have plenty of alcohol. These people drink more alcohol, beer, whatever, than anybody you've ever seen. We've traveled throughout the country many years doing these shows. People underestimate what LSU fans can do drinking, because it's a part.
Well, yeah, they claim they're doubling their orders.
Well, it maybe should triple. There's going to be some partying going on. Oh, by the way, Chase Dollander may not start. Now they're talking about another guy starting for Tennessee. Paul Skeens is going to get the ball Saturday, 6 o'clock on ESPN.
All right, guys. Alumni Hall, they're absolutely blowing and going. We're happy to have them as a part of our show and a part of TigerBait. And you want to show your LSU pride, Alumni Hall is your ultimate shopping experience. The best and largest selection of apparel for the whole family. Nike Golf, Champion, Columbia, Peter Millar, Southern Tide, hats, Yeti gifts, and accessories. LSU students, faculty, and military receive 10% off in-store every day, and you can earn cash back with their Hall Pass rewards. Alumni Hall, located in Perkins Row, or anytime at alumnihall.com. Alumni Hall, where Tiger fans shop. And I just want to tell you guys, I have all the Omaha LSU gear, College World Series gear, LSU related, on the front page of TigerBait.com. You can't miss it. If you click on that, everything is listed in a row. I put 2 more pieces in there for Alumni Hall. Please go to the front page of TigerBait if you're looking to buy some gear. We get a little bit on the back end, a point or two, and you're supporting TigerBait when you do that. And they've got the best gear, and the best part of it is it's shipping from the store here, so you're going to get it in a few days. The stuff that's in stock. So. They've got the latest and greatest stuff for the Omaha shirts is the #1 seller, and the Omaha being a home away from home, that's their second biggest seller, I'm told. So go to the front page of TigerBait to access Alumni Hall. Much appreciative when you do that.
I wonder what percentage of money is kicked up when LSU makes it to Omaha. Look, Florida. And Kevin Sullivan, as we know, a really good coach, but Florida doesn't give a rat's you-know-what about baseball. And I know they got a new stadium and improvements and all that, but they don't bring a ton of people over there. 2 years ago when Mississippi State was in the finals, they had the whole place. Last year when Ole Miss was in the finals, they had the whole place. So I ask you, and we'll continue on, but do you think if they win the first game with Skeens, can they put it together, all 3 phases, pitching, hitting, defense, and, of course, timely hitting. But do you think they got a chance to get in the finals? Not talking about winning it, just getting in the finals.
3 weeks ago, I thought they would win 1 game and that'd be it. Mm-hmm. And now I think they've got a real good chance of winning the whole thing.
Got to win the first game.
I mean, have you gone through and looked at the schedule? Okay, if you win this when you play this day, and have you figured out the pace, the spacing of it? I mean, because I think it sets up well for LSU.
It does.
If you avoid the losers bracket, it really does set up well to win it.
And I'm just going to warn you LSU fans on this, and this is what's great about the SEC and college athletics. Tennessee fans are going to come after you. They're going to talk to smack, And they tried to tell everybody last year what? It's the greatest freaking regular season in SEC history. Of course, I said that Tony Vitello drove a car, and Mike had to text in and correct me.
He didn't say it was a Lamborghini. It's a Maserati. Well, I went and looked it up because I want to see if there was a photo of him.
Okay.
And what it is, it's a Maserati. So he's right that it's Italian, but it's Maserati.
But they were telling everybody they were the greatest of ever. And as we know, they couldn't get out of their super regional. Now, LSU beat them 2 out of 3. First 2 games, no problem. And then they came back and hit the ball and took the Sunday game. But those fans are going to build up so much confidence that by the time the game, first pitch, hopefully at 6 o'clock and no weather issues, LSU fans are going to be like this, wanting to beat the hell out of them because these Tennessee wannabe fans that don't know great baseball in Omaha are going to be yapping like the USC with 12 championships.
Well, so I forget who I was on with, and they said, well, there's no love loss between LSU and Tennessee. And I'm like, man, but think about it. What fan base in the SEC in baseball likes Tony Vitello in Tennessee right now? I mean, every fan base feels the same way as LSU does.
And they chirp.
Yeah.
There's going to be chirping between these teams, and I saw chirping with Southern Miss in Tennessee. And, of course, as we know, there was a lot of question after the reliever got on and did the throat sign. So we will see how crazy that game is. But, man, I'm excited to see that game. And, oh, by the way, I know this is a cop-out, but if there was ever a year you wish 2 players could share the Golden Spikes Award this year, Mike, it would be this year with Skeens and Cruz. You're picking Cruz. I'm thinking Skeens just because he's been so valuable for LSU.
If it's Skeens, I understand.
But either way, but I'm saying you don't want the award to be tied. But if there was ever a year for it to be tied, I think this would be the year.
Yeah.
They're that good, both of them.
When do they announce that?
June the 26th, I think.
Okay. Fire 3449. Hey, Mike, I ordered a couple of LSU shirts from Alumni Hall, and they are great. Thank you for that, and thank you on behalf of Alumni Hall. Great store right there in Perkins Row. Go visit them. And if it's got LSU logo on it, they've got it.
Give yourself 20 minutes or so to shop. It's not a stop in quick buy.
Every nook and cranny of that place is loaded with something around every corner.
Sure.
Blaine Smith, good evening. Commitment, schedule release, and Omaha to talk about. Absolutely. Here we go. Delton Dew said Bama fans are crying about their schedule. Well, good.
I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Oh, yeah.
You know, here it is. Bama and Georgia, I think, with this game included in 24.
What about Napier, man?
Will have played 5 times in 20 years.
What about Florida? I didn't realize you talking about, LSU's got USC and UC. They got Miami and Florida State.
Let me tell you what. Billy Napier is going to be lucky to survive.
I think he's in trouble.
I think he's going to be lucky to survive by 24. I really do. He'll be on the hot seat that year. That could be his death wish.
I think you're right.
They'll give him one more year after this year. That's a tough schedule.
I mean, what's the outlook for them this year?
Who knows?
I just don't see it in the recruiting. I don't.
No.
And all the people, you better keep Corey Raymond. Corey Raymond's just wiping LSU out, ain't he? LSU's getting every defensive back in the state.
I told people today Mike was going to be spicy. I love it. I gave him a little hot sausage po' boy before the show, and he's digested.
All right, guys, let me scroll up here. Give me a second. Here we go. Blaine Smith. Brian Kelly show changing location. I missed that. Is there something going on? Is it not going to be at Ridge?
I have not heard that, but anything's possible. We'll look into it. Apologize.
If you know something or someone knows something, put it in the comments.
Put it in the comments and say.
I missed that if it was. Yeah. Look, man, I'm sure that's competitive. There's a lot of new restaurants in town that, probably want to ante up. Hey, Mike, is Kyron Lacey and Brian Thomas going to be real players or just names? Man, you got Neighbors and you got Shelton Sampson and Aaron Anderson and Lacey and Thomas. Hilton, is he ready to turn the corner and be a football player and not just a track guy trying to be a football player? Can he stay healthy? You got the
Jalen
freshman
Brown, a speedster. Kyle Parker here early. I mean, LSU is so loaded at wide receiver.
You list wide receivers and you miss one. You miss a different name every time.
Yeah. Landon Ibieta, who looked good and scored in the spring game.
I think he's a sleeper.
Yeah. Wide receiver, when you fret and get pissed off when LSU loses a wide receiver, really, there's no reason to. They just do a great job of wide receivers.
Chance Babin, what are your impressions of the last two commitments? I like both of them. Joel Rogers, of course, of West Feliciana, physically gifted. I'm really loving the fact that East Feliciana and West Feliciana have commitments in the same recruiting class. And I really enjoyed watching Rogers' commitment, seeing both his mom and dad speak. Super people. And they're absolutely ecstatic up there. And physically, I mean, what are you talking about? 6'3", 185 pounds.
He'll get to 200.
Yeah. And, and Billy Ott, what more can you say about him? I was thinking about it today. I've been doing this for 26 years, and Mason Smith was the first kid from Terrebonne that I ever was, following from that high school. And now, could they have two of them on the roster at the same time in 24?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think Mason Smith is probably going to
go
if he stays healthy and has the kind of year that we are all projecting him. This is a big man. You forget just how big and how fast he is, but he still has to do the things you got to do. Figure out if it's a run or a pass. Use the right pad level to get to the quarterback.
Can he be as good on both run and pass?
Well, and make big plays. People in the NFL will draft you on size. He's got to make some plays this year. And him and our buddy, who we all think is going to be taken to Nashville. Look, it's hard to criticize what 92 brings to the table.
But Billy Ott, wide receiver from Terrebonne, another one right there, that same size range, 6'3", 185, 190. LSU coaches have been watching him now for 18 months, and gotta love his film. Performed well at camp on Saturday. They offered, and that's the kind of kid you want. And I'll say this. I know he's got a pretty high 3-star ranking right now. We'll see how he does throughout the rest of the year. I think he's slotted right to move up. But I'll take a 3-star athlete, 3-star wide receiver from Louisiana over a 4-star or a national 250 kid from Missouri or Tennessee every day of the week. And there's a reason why Brian Kelly, Frank Wilson, and them are really wanting to lock down Louisiana and take kids like this. A kid like Billy Ott might have been a guy that previous staff might have overlooked or thought the grass was greener somewhere else. And I like it.
Hey,
because this kid is, it's a dream for him. And they're he's going to work that extra hard.
Same thing with Joel. And let me tell you what, how many times we talked about it after spring football, corners and safeties. You can see, Mike, Juwan Johnson and a bunch of DBs coming in here. Those guys know they have to supplement in their secondary. And they want to keep a reputation at DBU. Guess what? You got to have more turnover, takeaways, and more INTs this year. LSU -3 in the turnover ratio, only 16 takeaways last year, fumbles and INTs. Got to get better. I'm hoping double-digit INTs this year.
Absolutely. Okay, guys. Chili, ask Mike, who will be the surprise defensive lineman this year? I don't know if there's a surprise.
Deshaun Womack, Ovio Gofu are a couple of names. Parashan, obviously Swinson, but I'll tell you the guy, Deshaun Womack, to me.
Well,
has got a chance to be
I will say that I think we know what we expect to see from Savion Jones.
Mm-hmm.
But I think regionally and nationally, there's not a whole lot of people who are familiar with him. And I think he will be a surprise for those people.
Yeah.
I think he could be on the verge of having a major impact.
And, of course, Wingo and Mason Smith, you got to figure are going to hopefully be your starting D tackles the night they play Florida State.
All right, guys, I'm scrolling up. I'm zigzagging all over the place. Give me a second. All right. Randall Alfrecht, if LSU baseball sweeps through Omaha and brings back the trophy, will it be the best LSU baseball team ever?
No, you can't.
I don't know that you can do that.
I don't know what. No disrespect to the question, but remember when Oklahoma was playing LSU in the national championship in 2003? ESPN, I remember it like it was yesterday, even though it was 20 years ago, was trying to push this narrative that Oklahoma that year, they were the best college football team ever. Those kind of comments and I guess you could say the analysis on that. You got to let that be like wine. Let it age a little bit. But no, this team is. I mean, come on. Skip's got 5 teams. They got 188 home runs. I mean, there's a lot of great baseball.
But it's also like, okay, the bats were tuned up. Now the bats are tuned down, but the balls are tuned up. Now you've got more teams investing and spending millions and millions of dollars in baseball.
Great.
I mean, there's just so much. The factors are so much different now.
But look, when Burrow and the 19 football team went 15-0, no LSU football team had ever done that before. This particular team, it's got a ways to go on some of these. They've had some teams win 50-something games. So my point is that it will be great. And we had this question, and we posed it last year, Mike. Who would be first, Kim Mulkey, Jay Johnson, or Brian Kelly? And Mulkey's got hers. Jay Johnson has it in sight. And, man, I don't know anybody that hadn't listened to you and is thinking LSU's going to lose more than 1 or 2 games in this upcoming season. I don't know anybody that's saying 9-3. Everybody's 11-1, 12-0, 10-2. So we'll see. It's a good time to be a Tiger fan.
I haven't heard anybody thinking 9-3 next season. That's the over and under for Vegas. And I think everybody I know would take the over if they haven't put money on it already.
9.5 over is the bet.
American Patriot with a super chat. Thank you. As always, great show, guys. Thumbs up. When does football practice start? We don't know that yet, but when was it last year? The 3rd?
Oh, yeah, right around that first week in August.
It'll be here before you know it. That's a great thing about this LSU baseball team, making a run and going late into June. Before you know it, you'll have SEC Media Days. Brian Kelly's first on Monday of that. And then the coaches will take a little bit of vacation time, and then they'll get to work.
Hey, you're going to take great pride in this LSU football team. And lo and behold, Mike couldn't do it without Mike and Alex and all the folks over at Pride Roof. And had Mike on the radio show. Once again, new guy in Baton Rouge, Vernon, who's taking care of you. They're working Baton Rouge to Hammond really hard. Mike, you know the deal on what your listeners and clients and subscribers get. And we just want to ask you once again, just give them an opportunity. No, you're not going to see their TV commercial in Baton Rouge every 15 minutes, but you're going to get the real deal from A to Z. And I know you are very proud to know that family and proud to have them as sponsors.
Absolutely. Let's hear from Mike and Alex right now.
Hey, it's Michael and Alex again with Pride Roof, and here we grow again. Did your roof get to Niger and Hurricane Ida?
The insurance company is playing game with you.
Don't forget, August 29th is your 2-year anniversary to make a claim.
Your neighbor got new roof, why not you?
Pay your deductible. We're fortified, certified.
We do your roof, you came on the Pride umbrella, bet on Pride.
855
Pride 16.
There you go. Mike and Alex at Pride Roofing right there in Albany, Louisiana. Call them at 855-PRIDE-16. Tell them you heard about them on TigerBait, and with your free roof inspection, they're going to give you TigerBait Premium free for a year. They foot the bill for it. They pay for it, and you cannot beat that deal. And they will get competitive. They'll beat any bid situation. And owned and operated by Louisiana people. And, of course, Mike Faraday's a Broadmoor High and an LSU grad. And I've known them and him and his family my entire life, and no better people to deal with.
Commercial, residential, and metal roofs. Once again, Crown Metals, the acquisition. They have also picked up a concrete company. They are really taking the Southeast by storm. Once again, 275-2041, and outside the Baton Rouge area at 1-855-PRIDE-16. Tell them Buddy and Mike were bragging about it.
Boy, look at this. Thank you, John Sibley Butler, with a super chat, and always one of our best guys that contributes to our show almost every week. He says, great show. How will Texas and OU change the recruiting dynamics for the Tigers in the future?
I asked you that last week. Remember, I said, how will OU and Texas, being in the SEC, affect LSU in Houston, in Dallas, in the state of Texas, where LSU gets, 3 or 4 players every year from Texas, sometimes more.
I tend to think their thought process is that it helps them keep kids home, because now they can sell the SEC. But that can also be a double-edged sword if SEC teams come into town and you're hosting them and they're beating you at home. And you're at the same time, you're also giving Texas kids a little bit more indoctrination of SEC schools. They're getting the flavor. And so, look, LSU's already got a strong footprint in Texas. You've got a half a dozen LSU coaches at any given time that are hitting the state of Texas, Dallas, Houston, East Texas, and all parts in between. That's not going to change. But I ever since it was announced that Oklahoma and Texas were coming in the league, I felt that it was going to hurt Oklahoma. So when you look at not only their coaching change, we can have debates about whether they're on secure footing and they're going to get built back up or not. I have my doubts. When you look at that opening schedule next year, I think they're going to have a rough go of it.
Well, look, Brent Venables, of course, had never had a head coaching opportunity, and he left Clemson, as we know, is really great assistant. But I'm getting some scoop from Pete Cardelli and others that Josh Heupel, who, of course, has done great things at Tennessee, he could bolt to Oklahoma in a couple of years if Venables doesn't get it. And you know that Sark's got to have pressure on him this year at Texas. Quinn Ewers, of course, Archie Manning in the fold and all the things. Do you really think
other than Heupel's history at Oklahoma and being a former player,
yeah,
is that a better job necessarily if he builds Tennessee up? If he continues to build what he's got going in Tennessee right now?
Depends on what's in his heart, man. You know, that might be special for him. But what I was going to say is it is so exciting to see all these games. Like I've always talked about and asked people, what's it going to be like when LSU travels to Norman, Oklahoma? We know about Texas. We've been there, and obviously they're supposed to come back and pay that game back. But USC to open it up, UCLA week 4, and all that schedule, man, this is as good as it gets, and I'm quite happy with the 8 games. Hope that they do the 25 schedule with this much parity. I know some are going to be harder than others. For the most part, I think it's been pretty darn equitable.
Yeah, I'm not. I initially said, look, you don't want to lose your traditional SEC opponents. If you asked me a week ago, who would I rather lose? I'd rather lose Florida than Auburn. That didn't happen. But it's not that big of a deal when you're getting Oklahoma at home, somebody you've never had before. You keep Alabama. And then look, you're going to get you're going to get Auburn the following year. It's just once they go to a 9 game, I think you're not going to do without somebody you're used to seeing for any extended period of time.
Yeah.
You just don't. Most fans don't want to lose Alabama.
And the schedule that Georgia is playing this year in 2023. Mike, I don't think we'll ever see a cupcake schedule like that. With OU and Texas in the league now, coming in 24, there's no way you're going to have a cupcake like Georgia has this year.
John Sibley Butler, big thank you again. Rick Loetti, it appears that Auburn got the short end of the stick on new schedule playing Bama and Georgia. Well, they've always played them. They weren't going to lose those.
Yeah, they do that. Of course, Bama, as we said, they've only played each other, Georgia and Bama, 5 times in the last 20 years. But
I like the fact that we're hearing from you guys in the chat, because you guys are obviously multitasking, that Alabama fans aren't happy.
Well, and that's what makes it feel like it might be right for a change.
Exactly. They're getting their just desserts. Barry Barbie, Kirby Smart told Paul Feinbaum that several of his football players are training for Formula One and NASCAR, so in order to jumpstart their careers, they need to stay on course.
Good joke, Barry. I'm going to tell you, look, we're making light of it. Certainly nobody makes light of the unfortunate passing of those that athlete and that young lady in the recruiting department. But, man, don't you feel like that nothing but bad news has come from Georgia ever since they won that second championship? I mean, Stetson Bennett, it gets drunk as Cooter Brown, doesn't show up for an interview. I mean, all of the things that are going on, and then, as we said, the death. And
so is it equaling the post 2019 LSU championship year with all that bad news?
Oh, man.
I mean, that was like LSU had great karma, and then it was the worst karma.
You know, John Brady said it many times, folks. It's not how much success you have, it's how much you can handle.
And I still say about the Ed Orgeron era, you could put that on repeat. That 5-year span, you could put that on repeat over and over again. You take it every time. To have the best year in LSU history for 1 year, you would suffer through the following 2 bad years.
He's the smartest LSU coach I've ever seen. He had the wherewithal to hire Bill Bush, who had a relationship with Jimmy Burrow, who brought them Joe Burrow, and he parlayed that into the greatest regular season and postseason, funnest, most exciting offense ever. Everybody knows the stats. 400-plus yards passing, 60 touchdown passes. And then not only did he do that, he ended up leaving with a $17 million check after letting that thing go to hell in a handbasket. So that's a pretty damn good coach. Might not be on the field, but from a business standpoint, that's about as good a coup as you're going to find.
SI had a headline that OU was the team of the century when they beat some Big 12 team 77-0, and then LSU beat up on the Heisman Trophy winner White.
Yeah. Mike, Jason White had 40 touchdowns and 6 INTs going into
What's
that
the
game.
Alabama artist that does the Prince? I have that framed in the hallway where they're sacking him. You guys know who I'm talking
Big
about.
Swagoo, that was a big game for him. And kudos to Marcus Spears and his great career, along with all of the guys at Booger and Ryan Clark and all the others at baseball, Todd Walker, Ben McDonald. I mean, you can go on and on. It's a good time to be a Tiger fan, all I'm telling you, folks.
Okay, let's see here. Fire 3449. Mike, did you notice that how many of the LSU baseball players were multi-sport athletes, especially very good basketball players? I didn't notice that. Did you?
Well, look, yeah, I mean, some of them, like Garrett Edwards was a basketball player, 6'5". Man, these pitchers are all so big. And as you know, it shouldn't roll off the tongue, but losing Garrett Edwards, Chase Shores, Grant Taylor, and Jaden Newt to injuries, that would make it even more impressive if they were to win the Natty. But back to that question earlier about if it would be the greatest team ever. If those guys had stayed healthy and LSU went to Omaha and whitewashed everybody, it'd be one discussion. But, man, this team has had bad breaks. Look at Brady Neal. Hadn't played in months. Look at all the injuries. And, oh, by the way, one of the keys, I think, this weekend, please have some plate discipline. Tommy Tanks,
I thought he did better this weekend.
He did better but don't swing at the ball in your eyes at
Trey
3-2.
Morgan's off the
Take
snide.
the walk.
I mean,
Cruz, of course, has been better about that. Now, how about Trey Morgan getting hot, hitting a couple of dingers? So if LSU hits the baseball.
Based on this past weekend, there's nobody 1 through 9 that's in a slump if that continues.
Right. So if you can carry on the way they played, physically, mentally, and psychologically, and beat Tennessee, got to beat Tennessee, then you face probably a Wake Forest team that's really, really good.
I have not seen them. Have you watched them play?
They've got some nasty pitching, and a lot of it is nasty lefty. They got a nasty lefty that is a beast.
Well, let's see how they get pushed on their side of the bracket.
By the way, real quick, LSU plays Saturday at 6. If they win, they play Monday night at 6 against the winner of Stanford. and Wake Forest. If they lose, they play the loser of those two teams at 1 o'clock on Monday. So
Okay.
I won't have a radio show on Monday if they lose.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So when I'm on that station, and the folks in Florida think it's going to be an SEC rematch. They think it's going to be LSU and Florida again.
Could be.
Florida's hot.
Number 1 national seed going into the tournament, which is, of course, is Wake Forest this year. That number 1 national seed has not won the College World Series since 1999.
And how about the way Stanford got there?
Did
Did you hear me ask Jay that question?
Yeah.
I mean, because they played out there, but they were all saying that that's a real thing out there at that time of night. The twilight pop fly, that if you're not used to it, that balls will drop on you. But Jay says he's seen more drop balls like that, and a few of them happened to him this year, that he's ever seen in a year of baseball.
It reminded me when their quarterback, they beat a really good team in the Sugar Bowl, and the quarterback kept saying, "We're back, we're back." That's what I was thinking with Texas baseball. Now, Texas is tied with LSU with 6 natties in baseball, but we're back, we're back, we're back. And to lose it on a play like that, it will even get the ire and give even local media people the screaming red ass.
There you go.
You notice I said red.
Guys, if you're enjoying the show, please hit that like button. Very much appreciative of you guys spreading the word about TigerBait. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell. As you can see, we've been loading the YouTube channel up with videos, and we're just right around the corner from football season. And was talking to Buddy before the show. We've got a lot of stuff that we're tinkering around with, talking about more content coming your way on the YouTube channel one way or another. And so you're going to want to be subscribed and hit that notification bell. As soon as practice starts, we'll be out there with practice reports and the whole works. And so hit that subscribe button and notification bell.
We mentioned it last week. Look, we don't know verification if John Emery's going to be out there the first day of practice or not, but he is listed on the new roster. Trey Bradford out of nowhere, out of the sky, he's there. And, of course, we talked about the other 6. But, man, 8 running backs. Now you get this big tight end coming in here. Folks, if you give Brian Kelly one more year to rebuild the final thin spots, I really think, Mike, that LSU is going to be able to play with Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, all the big boys, player for player, come 2024.
I believe you're right.
One more recruiting class.
5349. Hey, Buddy, please comment on Bama getting beat 22-5.
That must have been.
That would have been Omaha. That was the same year. Was that?
I didn't remember the score, but I just know this: Bama second baseman. I want to say Joe Caruso, but it could be somebody
Is he
else.
talking about the College World Series where they beat LSU really bad, and then LSU beat them bad in Omaha?
Yeah, but the second baseman was chirping.
Yeah.
So, be careful what you wish for, and talk about. Oh, by the way, if you hit Tommy White, he doesn't like it too much, Mike. Gavin Dugas, of course, is leading the team. Dugas is leading the team in hit by pitches, but once again, unbelievable. I don't think
that is crazy how he does. They talk about it. They talked about it in the pregame, but often he gets hit and he gets hit again twice.
I don't think, though, we're going to realize just how incredible a year Dylan Cruz is having and has had until it's all over and we can sit back and just process what's going on. But, Mike, that was kind of the message I was hoping Jay Johnson got from Skip and other people. Man, smell the roses. You'll never have a baseball team with 2 guys of the caliber of Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz. And I'm talking about on and off the field. Enjoy it. Exhale. And ever since Wes Johnson, who, by the way, looks good in a black hat, you posted it, he took the job. He had the press conference, Monday? And so now he's having to get a staff. He's certainly going to recruit, but he's also multitasking and going to Omaha with LSU. Interesting. You got any ideas on who might be the pitching coach?
No, I asked him that. When did I ask Jay that? Friday? before it got started. Yeah. Or maybe it was the one mid last week when I asked him, are you surprised by any of the interest that you may have received? And of course, I didn't phrase it right to get what I wanted, because obviously, he's going to say, well, I'm not focused on that.
Yeah.
I should have said, I know you're not focused on it,
Mm-hmm.
but are you surprised by some of the interest you've received from people interested in the opening? But then he kind of circled back and basically said, we're going to have somebody really good.
By the way, if you did not hear the Gavin Guidry interview, you need to go. Most people are comparing him favorably to Matty Ott. Now, Matty Ott had a ton of saves, and this kid just got in the mix, as we know, at the last minute. But there's something about that it factor. We talk about it, with the quarterback. Does he have the it factor? Gavin Guidry has the it factor. He is fearless. Can't wait to see.
And what does that do for him to end a super regional like that? And then he, Jay brings him out yesterday for interviews.
Sure.
He's special, and kid who's always wanted to be a Tiger. And I was laughing today watching them depart. And of course, you had the media out there and had a nice crowd to see him off to Omaha. But what is Skeens doing with a big old thing of water? I mean, is he trying? How hydrated? I mean, I guess if you're 6'7", you got to get. It takes a lot of bottles of water to get hydrated.
Well, look, Paul Skeens is. We'll talk about this after it's all said and done. But I don't think I've ever been as confident of LSU winning a game as we are this year when Paul Skeens gets the ball. He's only had a couple of bad outings. One game he just flat didn't have it and got beat. The other game, 3 innings against Carolina, and that's why Jay has been paranoid with this weather and trying to get a 3-hour window. Because, by the way, in case you got pissed off like I did, Southern Miss started at 2. They had a stoppage, had a long delay. They picked it back up that same night, had another delay, didn't finish until the next morning. So Jay has done a good job with the weather. But Paul Skeens is something that you're going to see pitching in the major leagues relatively soon, in my opinion.
All right, guys, go to TigerBait if you're not already a subscriber. Try us out for $1. We've got a really big story on the site under our premium content on Connor Gilbreth, the junior college tight end. Got some really great things to say. LSU in great shape before he comes in for his official visit. We've got push pin on the message board, all the official visitors in the order they're coming. That's continually being updated. We've got a lot more coming your way. Another big recruiting weekend coming up with visitors. And, of course, the last camp of June, the last elite camp on Saturday. I'll be out there. In fact, I think Preston might be out there with me as well. We'll see. But we're going to have all that coverage for you as well. And go to TigerBait, subscribe. Try us out for $1. Hit the like button, share, and thank you all for tuning in. Thanks to Buddy. Anything else you want to add before we head out?
Just that I'm excited about what's going on. Obviously, recruiting, you get some momentum. Now the schedule released, you're multitasking, the right side thinking football, the left side concentrating on baseball. And obviously, for those fans that are going to Omaha, I know you will represent this state, this school, and LSU in a great fashion. They love Tiger fans, and it's going to be a ball. Got to beat Tennessee. And if you do that, you got a chance to do something special. Wake Forest is nasty, but if LSU hits the ball and shows a little patience at the plate, how about the play Jordan Thompson? We didn't mention it.
Oh, yeah.
An Alex
What
Bregman.
a picture.
Huh?
What a picture of that.
Oh, well, but what a play. That's an Alex Bregman type of play. So enjoy the ride, and we'll be back next Wednesday and hopefully talk about LSU winning the first 2 games in Omaha.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hit that like button. Thank y'all.